Hi, my name is Bursha Chahada, and we're talking about Bitcoin blockchain and a cryptocurrency on with my man Prosper on his show Online Prosperity. And we'll be talking into it to taking you to the next level into the cryptocurrency and blockchain. Stay in tuned.
Now, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. And today we've got Bersha himself. Bersha, how are you doing, my man?
I'm great, brother. How you doing, my man?
Fantastic. Well, obviously, in this whole digital marketing space, we do come across people that have a bit of knowledge about certain things that we might not be able to translate to you. If you have not been living under a rock for the last year or 2 or 15 years, you might have heard of the current buzzword, which is cryptocurrency. Now, cryptocurrency is, I can't explain what it is because I've never really ventured into it. That's the reason why we bring in experts so they can explain to us how it actually works and what is involved, and et cetera, et cetera. So the financial world can be a very big and confusing place and full of strange terms, unuseful forms of, currency and endless trading options. And unfortunately, most of us are not tech savvy, and, the integration between the internet and our daily lives, it has allowed them, financial worlds to evolve. So we don't want to be left behind. That's why we bring in people that will help us have businesses that are profitable and enjoyable, like Bersha himself. Bersha, did I say that right?
Absolutely, 100%, 100%. And I totally agree with you saying that, if anybody not getting into like yourself, you are into digital marketing and what you talk about every single day. It's all about, as we were talking before, the rewiring the brain, where we're heading, where I would call it as a digital transformation. I actually wrote an article yesterday on Medium that a digital transformation. So we are living in an era where, it's no longer everybody is a celebrity in a sense, right? Because you got a smartphone and you can jump on it and then you can start talking what your ideas, what your inspiration, what your goals are. And if people are interested, they can talk to you, or you're gonna get onto that. So in terms of cryptocurrency, forget about money, forget about the market, forget about everything, right? I want to take you a little bit, or your audience, to the space where we need to understand that what are the fundamentals, right? So similar way, the digital marketing, when digital marketing started, the day internet started, that's where the digital marketing started. I'm sure Gary Vaynerchuk. He had a family business where they're making $4 million a year. And he was the second person who took his one business on internet back in 1996. And in 36 months, he scored $52 million, from $4 million to $52 million, right? So what I'm trying to say is he understood the power of internet. He understood the technology is coming. He took a plunge, and that's where his business is exploded, right? So it's a with the cryptocurrencies, with the blockchain, it's a next phase of internet. Like think about this way, right? It's like we are heading in a direction where we need, we had a bigger issue in terms of security, how we can transfer data from one place to another place, how we can transfer money to one place to another place. Why? Because we want to do the business on a global basis, but we want to make sure it's secured. It's not loose, right? So that's where the cryptocurrency and the blockchain taking a place, which I will call as the next generation of internet. It's not different from internet. It's a next phase. It's just like an evolving space for the internet. Does that make sense a little bit?
Of course it does. All right. So, well, essentially that is so much, valuable information there. But let's take it back a little bit. All right, let's
Yeah.
take it back a little bit so that we can actually understand what exactly is Bitcoin, because all of this is confusing. The one thing that I understand about it is no one single entity controls this currency. All right, so in the system that we're used to right now, it's very confusing to start off with. Money and financials is very confusing, and now add another layer of making it a decentralized platform. That whole confusion comes in, and it's chalk and cheese. So the general concept of a currency is that money and is owned and controlled by a bank, right? And then it rises and falls in value based on whatever global market it's being represented in, and whatever it's backing it as a source of value. So you can actually physically hold the currency and trade it in exchange for value. Now, Bitcoin defies this, all right? You cannot touch it. You cannot guarantee its value. And it is, in fact, controlled by anyone that uses the Bitcoin software. And, they use this as a currency to log in and validate whoever logs in, and then they validate whatever activities of the Bitcoin across the globe. Now, how can an average person like me that just really wants a simple life keep up with all of that?
No, you're not living a simple life, Prosper. If you're telling people that you're living a simple life and a digital live long, right? So I would look. I will take a step back, and then I will start a step by step the process. We can understand a little bit in a structured way. So before we even get into the Bitcoin, we need to understand there's an underneath technology called a blockchain, right? What is a blockchain, right? The way you got to understand blockchain is a ledger, right? So think about in the olden days, any transaction you do, what you do, you write it down, or the person who you the transaction, they write it down, and they write a big they have different books like a volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, volume 4, things like that, right? So and what it means is, if you want to look at the transaction which happened 30 years ago, they will look at the volume 1 and they check it out. Okay, the transaction is there, right? So what will happen in terms of blockchain, we got to think as a ledger, right? Every transaction happen on blockchain, it get recorded in the form of blocks, right? So what is a blocks? Blocks is like a number of transaction which is consist in one block. Every time somebody do a transaction, it get recorded. So what is the purpose of that? If it get recorded, it never get duplicated. So now you are in digital world. We had an issue with the double spending. We have an issue with the duplication. So blockchain destroy all of that. Right. So that's the little background of a blockchain. I can talk for hours, but I'm not going to go into too much details of it. That's the simplest way. It's a ledger where all the transactions get recorded, every transaction you do. And what happened is it's to remove the double spending, and and also now we're going to come. So think about a blockchain as an internet. Let's take the easy analogy. Think about a blockchain as an internet. So what do we have? Internet is a dumb network. What it means is basically you can connect any smart device with it, right? And then you can make it functional. Whatever you want to do. You want to do banking, you can do it. You want to do healthcare system, you can do it. You want to build an application called Facebook, you build it. You want to build Twitter on top, you can build it. And let's narrow down a little bit more. So just talk about internet and then platform called Facebook, right? So now we got a internet on the bottom, which is an underneath technology, which is we call it blockchain on the other side. So we got on the top, we got a Facebook, which is a platform. So why I'm calling as a platform rather than an application, because inside the Facebook, you can do multiple applications. Like you can sell stuff, you can do videos, you can make groups, like different things, like or on Facebook. So what do we have? We have an internet, And on top of that, we have a platform called Facebook, and on Facebook we have a multiple other applications, right? So now put that on the side. So first of all, we got a blockchain is like an internet, and on top of that, we got a Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin is a platform, right? So you don't take it as it is. I'm just making it analogy so that your viewer can understand so that how that works, right? So on top of that is a Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a platform, right? Bitcoin is a currency. Bitcoin is a decentralized system, right? So what it means is basically, so what we did is on top of the blockchain, we design a platform, right? So where you can, the first application of the Bitcoin is money. I'm not saying Bitcoin is a money, right? I'm saying first application is a money. We will see what's coming in the future, right? So there's a multiple application being building on top of the Bitcoin as well, right? So the first application we call as a money. So why are we gonna consider Bitcoin as a money, or like a, the transaction we can do, the transaction between the other party like you and me, or to buy stuff, right? Can we do it with Bitcoin? Yes, we can. So are we having an issue with the Bitcoin that there's a lot of transactions happening? It's not the Bitcoin network is getting flooded with the transaction. They're having an issue. Are they working? Are the developers are working to solve this issue? Yes, they are, right? It's called a Lightning Network. So which is another layer on top of the Bitcoin, where once the Lightning Network were built upon on the Bitcoin, what's going to happen is you can do more than a transaction of Visa. I think it's like a 100,000 per second, somewhere along those lines. I'm not quite sure the number. So it can surpass the number of transactions you can do in Visa or MasterCard. This is crazy, right? So what the thing is, let's have a step back. So we just stay on there. So is that making sense a little bit now? It's like an internet on top of Facebook and then an application. Same thing with the blockchain, and on top of that is a Bitcoin. On Bitcoin, there's one component is a money. Is that making sense a little bit here, up to here, Prosper?
Yeah, definitely. So you've now left me just thinking to myself, if it is decentralized and if you physically don't have to print bills, what then, or bills or coins, what then can stop anyone from creating their own Bitcoin or whatever currency? And does that not devalue the currency or render it worthless if people can just keep creating their own infinite number of coins?
Love that question, Prosper. Love that, because I saw in your post, you're gonna create a Prosper coin. I'm gonna create a Busha coin, right? So now I'm not joking, Prosper. It's a very I love the question you asked that, right? Don't you think it's a great way of looking? Anybody can create their own currency. So what it means, take a step back. In the olden days, there's a barter system, right? There's a barter system, right? So what do? You give me a wheat, I'll give you I'll give you a cow, right? Or whatever it is, right? So think about it. If you have a Prosper coin, I have a Busha coin, right? So if my coin or my audience, they're happy to take a Busha coin. So you take the Busha coin from me as a like in yourself, and then I have a Prosper coin. So what's going to happen is you can attack my audience with the Busha coin. I can attack your audience with the Prosper. So what is the money? Money is the exchange of value, right? So it gives. You will see right now we have I think nearly 1,000 altcoins. You will see thousands of altcoins, or maybe hundreds of thousands of altcoins in the coming future. It's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. So let me give you an example. In your Victoria, I think there's a school called Warana Primary School.
Yes.
I'm not pronouncing it right, but it's in somewhere in the country. They have a stem cell of blockchain. And I actually posted on my Facebook page. If your audience want to look at it, they can look at it. So what it is, the kids make their first coin is called a Varana coin. Can you believe it? So what it means is, with that coin, they're sharing their content around the globe. They're sharing their content around the globe using the platform called Steemit. I won't go into the Steemit right now. I'll keep it on the side. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're thinking people are not making coin, kids are making coin, Warana coin. So what it means is that, so they are primary school students. They're not high school students. They are primary school students. And there is a company called Global Blockchain in South Bank, which is, I did a live probably 2 months ago. I was there. And actually, they helped that school to build a stem cell. And that's where the kids getting educated. Think about it. Somebody getting an education right now about digital marketing. Somebody getting an education right now about blockchain. What's going to happen? It's going to happen innovation. It's going to happen in a massive level, the things we haven't even projected yet. I think I'm too late, man. I think I'm too late to get into this, right? But I'm grateful that I'm into it, right? So what is that making sense a little bit more?
No, it actually does. Obviously, innovation happens, while people were refusing to let go of their horse carriages. People like Henry Ford came in with the automobile, and then they took over everything, the way we know how we can fly between places. If the Wright brothers did not, persevere and go ahead in, November 1903, I think, when they made their first flight, we wouldn't be flying. So everything happens in due course and, in time. But my biggest concern is Bitcoins have no inherent or set value, okay? Now, if you look at a dollar bill, I don't have money in my pocket right now. I cannot make my own money. I have to wait until the bank gives me, which is what I'm used to. If you look at a dollar bill, right, you know that it's simply a piece of paper, like you guys would call it, with a number on it. And, it's got some fancy pictures, and it says it's worth $1 or $2. But in fact, the value is what it says it does. But is that the same with the Bitcoin? Like, the value of the one, do you say it's 1 bit or $1, or how do you refer to it, when you're calling it the digital pieces of code that are now starting to be worth money? And, can you actually trade real goods and services with them? In as much as you can say, hi, here's my Bitcoin, give me change.
Yes. If you want to anticipate with my services, I'm more than happy to take a Bitcoin or Ethereum. So, Prosper, yes, your answer to your question is yes. The first thing is we call, because what is a dollar bill? If you think about it, dollar bill is that we all agreed upon it on the government. This is the dollar bill, whether it's a US or Australian or Indian or whatever it is, right? So we agreed upon it that it's go back 1,000 years back. What the goldsmiths did, they start writing on it, and then other person trusted, and then that's how the money, whole gamut of money started, right? So it's a similar thing with the government, right? So we all trust that, if the government says it's $10, that's how much is the value is, right? So we call as, in terms of Bitcoin, we call as consensus, right? So everybody agreed upon, so it's like a voting system inside the system. It's a great system. All we got to understand is, the first thing we need to understand is the fundamentals. Before we question it, I made a video probably 3 weeks ago about ask the right question, right? So what it means is ask the right question rather than questioning that Bitcoin is that a valid, is that regulated, is that having any intrinsic value, is that rather than asking these questions, rephrase, rewire the brain, ask this question: what are the opportunities cryptocurrency and Bitcoin bringing to the society? How the cryptocurrency and the Bitcoin are helping the human being to evolve, the businesses to evolve. How the Bitcoin is actually going to help or helping the society to move forward. So now you're asking the same question, but in a very different context. So what are you looking for? You're looking for answers now. Rather than questioning it, you're looking for answer. Does that make sense a little bit?
Yes. Go on, I'm listening.
So, yeah. So what happened is in terms of Bitcoin, what because right now it's all about is money. Bitcoin is money. Market is gone to $6,000 Australian dollars. It's gone back to $4,000. It's gone back again $5,000. So what's happening is people so much concerned and wrapped about one application. Money is a simple reward to the Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not a money. It's served the purpose of money, if that makes sense, right? So money is a reward system. So what it means when I say that, what it means. So if you're charging $10,000 or $20,000 for your services, right? So if somebody gave you $20,000, is that Prosper is a $10,000? No, Prosper is a Prosper. It's providing services. The service the Prosper is providing, that's where somebody get a value out of it, and then they say, here you go, $10,000 or $20,000. I'm more than happy to buy because I got the service from you. So it's a similar thing. When the Bitcoin is hitting from $600 to $6,000, Bitcoin is a serving the service back to the community. So it's like so what I'm trying to say is that the money is a reward to the Bitcoin. So the question is that a speculative market? Is that a bubble, right? I've seen Ray Dalio, or a lot of respect for Ray Dalio, Jimmy Dimon, who is a JP Morgan CEO. So a lot of people, including Jimmy Morgan and Ray Dalio together. Ray Dalio is talking totally different about Bitcoin, and Jimmy Dimon is talking totally differently about Bitcoin. So they're two separate entities. I think what Ray Dalio talking about Bitcoin is very logical, right? And he want people to understand the logical concept, what Bitcoin is bringing and how it can be a bubble, right? So whether it's a bubble, it's not a bubble. Nobody can anticipate that. Nobody can anticipate that. What Ray Dalio was doing, he has a criteria to whether it's a normal in terms of in the economic system when there is a bubble. So he had a system, he has a set of principles where he can look at those principles and, like I say, it's bubble. So what I'm guessing, what Ray Dalio is doing, he's looking at those principles and looking at the Bitcoin and is calling it a bubble. But he's not saying in a bad way. He's saying is that Bitcoin could be a money, could be a currency. So, and one of the interview I listened to Ray Dalio with the Tim Ferriss, where he said it, he's not 100% understand the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, which makes sense to me, Why cannot you comment forcefully on something when you don't understand the fundamental? I'm not saying Ray Dalio don't understand it. What I'm saying is, if he admitted in Tim Ferriss' interview that he's not fully comprehend that, but on the other side, Jimmy Dimon, he's a lunatic a little bit in that sense, right? He's just calling it a Bitcoin is a fraud without even understanding it, and people quote him. He was doing helping his clients to do the trading with the Bitcoin. So that's all. Too much fright. It's too much of a misunderstanding happening into the fact. Don't forget about that. Don't get into that. So you gotta ask, as a normal person, as you asked me before, what Bitcoin is bringing for you, what Bitcoin is for you. Is that a Bitcoin backed by something? Yes, it is backed by consensus. It's backed by the system. So what it means is, if you, let's say there's we had an issue with the economy, what we do, the last thing we do, we print money. You know that, you come from Zimbabwe. 1 trillion worth nothing.
I'm a billionaire, right? By the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm trying to say is, in Bitcoin people need to understand that Bitcoin, we got only 21 million Bitcoin. That's all we got, right? So can you print a Bitcoin as like a dollar bill? No, you cannot. Why you cannot print a Bitcoin? The guy who created Bitcoin and blockchain, we don't know whether it was a group of geeks, whether he was a woman, whether he was a guy, we don't know. His name is Satoshi Nakamoto, right? So when he created Bitcoin and blockchain, he designed the system in such a way, right? So in 2008, if you create a block, which is the number of transactions, every block created on the blockchain, it takes 10 minutes to create a block on. So what happened is, once the block is created, back then 50 Bitcoin will come out of the system automatic. Nobody's touching it. As soon as the block built on the blockchain, the 50 Bitcoin comes up. He was a very clever dude. He knew that nobody gonna believe into the Bitcoin and blockchain. So he gave it 4 years time. Every 4 years, a reward of Bitcoin got halved into the system, right? So what it means is, in 2000, if the one block created with 50 Bitcoin, in 2012 it becomes a 25 Bitcoin. In 2016, it becomes a 12.5 Bitcoin. So every time now, right now, if the block happens on blockchain, block built in 10 minutes, the system got rewarded with a 12.5 Bitcoin, right? So it's going to continue until another 4 years, and then it's going to go halved in 2020, 6.25, and it's going to continue. The last Bitcoin will come out on this planet Earth 2040. So it's like 113 years later, right? So that's where it makes a very valuable Bitcoin, that you cannot go and simply go and press the button and create a Bitcoin. No, you gotta go through the system. So I made actually comprehensive video that how the mining work. I'm not gonna get too much detail because there's a lot of to talk about, but I'll touch on the topics, right? So what happened is, there's a lot of mining farms. There's like a lot of, you need a bigger machinery, lot of big computers to actually mine a Bitcoin. So I was listening to John McAfee, you know, the founder of
McAfee, yeah.
So he was saying that because he's into mining, it costs $1,000 to actually create a Bitcoin, right? It's create like electricity, hardware, labor, whatever. It's got $1,000 to actually create a Bitcoin. So that's the answer to your one of your question, that it's got any value. Yes, it is got a value, because you cannot just simply go and print Bitcoin. You need to do a block there to take the another 12.5 Bitcoin out of the system, right? So yeah, if any other question regarding this, so I can move forward.
No. So obviously, mining Bitcoin is usually a term that means that you're using a computer program to solve mathematical, problems, and then you need to verify these various transactions around the world, and then Bitcoin miners, then get paid a certain number of Bitcoin, which is the 12.5, which you're talking about in this, day and age in solving these math problems. What sort of, I'm trying to think, is this for everyone?
Ask any question.
Yeah, I've got it. But can I sit down in my studio right now and start mining Bitcoin?
Yes, you can. But the time has passed. You're too late. You're too late. So what it means is that back in 2008, with the normal computer, what we're talking about right now, you can use those normal, like a normal computer hardware system. You can do. There's a lot of stories that one of the guy, he mined I think 10,000 Bitcoin or something like that. And then it was sitting on his hard drive, and he threw his computer into the dump yard, and he was, after 2 years later, he find out he become a millionaire, but that he destroyed his computer in the dump yard. 4 days he was just digging deep into, with the help of other people, to finding that computer. to get his Bitcoin back. So I think 10,000 or something. So it was possible back then, 2008. And right now, it's called, there's a term called difficulty level. The difficulty level is very high right now. Why? Because as we're gonna progress, that's why I say Satoshi Nakamoto was very, very clever. He gave the opportunity. He believed in the early days, right? He gave the opportunity. So what's happening around now? You need a kind of supercomputer, like a big computer, great hardware, and the software to actually mine a Bitcoin, right? So if you want to mine a Bitcoin, you can, but you need a lot of electricity and you need a high efficiency of the hardware. But the question is, can you mine a Bitcoin? Yes, you can. Is that answer to your question?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, that's fine. So you see, for the next couple of days, I'm not going to show up live. I'm going to be coming up with my cold face because, you know, I'll be mining my coins there. Now, there's one thing about, you know, this cryptocurrency that I sort of heard, that you cannot reverse a transaction or you cannot be forced to pay. So, you know, I hear that one of the integral features about Bitcoin is that you can't be forced to pay. What if somebody owes you money? No, can you take back a transaction? What if you make a mistake and you want to cancel that transaction? Or if you send, you know, a company some of your Bitcoins for a product, you know, you can't take back that transaction. Or can they repeat bill you or force money to be taken away from you? Now, we are using softwares as a service. We are using Netflix. We are using Stan. We are using, you know, this Zoom that we're talking on. It's a recurring sort of payment. So how then are people going to be on top of their payments if it's not just going to be like a direct debit, and if people are not going to be forced to pay? Are people just going to get away with, you know, using services like your phone and not even pay for it because nobody can chase you for the money?
Let me ask this question in a very different way. If you ever listen to Jeff Bezos, who's the founder of Amazon,
yes,
he was saying that, you know, what we do is we find out what people want and then we work backward, right? Backward. So he said, and then our integral values are we're gonna give a cheaper product to the customer in a easiest possible way, right? Let's say that's the one of the murder, right? So he said, what we do is when we work backward, we make sure we don't do any wastage, right? We make sure our system is efficient. So basically, what he's saying that when we do that transaction, we become a very efficient to serve the customer, if that makes sense. So what it means is, so basically, he's looking at the customer, but what he's doing is he's generating more productivity for his company. He's making his company more productive. That's why he's ruling the world right now. And I think his net worth is, I think, surpassed the Bill Gates, I think, for last 2-3 weeks. So what I'm trying to say,
it fluctuates.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, so what are you doing is, so you're making the system efficient so the customer get the what they want. So now I'm going to relate this with the Bitcoin. So what Bitcoin is doing to us is it's forcing us, don't be lazy. Don't become efficient when you're doing a transaction with the other person. When you're doing, so what it means is, in an unconscious manner, but we are asking a different question. We are asking the question we've been wired for long period. If I make a mistake, right? Why? Because if you think about it, now we are living in an era where we have the tools and technology where it's becoming lesser and lesser where you make mistakes. I'm not saying you're not going to make a mistake. You want to make a mistake. What I'm trying to say is, unconsciously, Bitcoin pushes you to make the right decision when you buy a product, when you buy a service. Now, it depends upon who you work with, who your clients are. Are the clients like, I know that you work with the high-end clients. So when you're working with the low-end clients and when you're working with the high-end client, what's the difference with the efficiency? It's a huge, right? You need to do a less marketing for the higher end client, and you need to do a lot of marketing for the lower end client, and then they'll be on your back. But on the top end side of it, all you got to tell them that's what you need. All they need is a breakthrough. Bitcoin is a breakthrough. It's a new way of looking at the future. So now the question is, can you reverse the transaction? What the question is yours. No, you cannot. Right, that's where it solved the purpose of double spending. That's where it solved the purpose of not duplicating the transaction. So another thing is, if I'm doing a transaction with you, if you made a mistake, we are like, if you think about it, well, I'm gonna give you back. If I receive your money, I'm gonna give you back. The beautiful thing is, nobody can own a Bitcoin. So nobody can put Prosper, this is Bitcoin, it belongs to me. It's like a cash. You got $100 bill, you give it to me, it's mine. There's no way you can say, hey, Bursha, you took my $100, this is mine. Because why? Because that's cash. You cannot, like, unless I say, okay, I know that it's yours, I'll give it back to you, right? But in terms of what you're talking about is a banking process. This is a new way of looking at the system. You're talking about the banking. Why? Because that's what we wired for last 100, 150 years. Think about it. If you train your daughter, I'm training my daughter and my son, this. If you give them Nokia, they're going to say, Dad, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Right? Are you crazy? I want to have a smartphone. So this is a thing. I'm not, like I always say, do not put another system down, right? There was a time that Nokia was a great innovation. And then I was listening to the CEO. He was saying, we didn't do anything wrong, but we did not move with the time, right? So what it means is, if you think banking's not doing anything with the blockchain, or with the cryptocurrency, you are at the wrong end, my friend. Like, so what I'm saying is, they are in ANZ, Commonwealth, Westpac. They did a trial back in 2015. Barclay Bank, which is from England, they did it collaboratively, and ANZ invested into the Bitcoin exchange called Coinbase. So somebody the reporter asked to the ANZ, they said, is that did you invest into the Bitcoin? The ANZ said, no, we invested into the Coinbase exchange. So you're saying to me that you can buy Bitcoin from Coinbase, but I did not invest into the Bitcoin. So you can understand what I'm trying to say, right? So if they are, Commonwealth is number one into blockchain, and they are doing a massive project. I actually did a video, but I'm going to write an article about how banking is involved into the blockchain. So what I'm trying to say is, they're pushing the normal people, the common man. This is a facade, this is a fade, it's not gonna work at all. But they've been doing a research for the last 4 years or 3 years, how when Bitcoin exploited to the common market, how can we compete, or how can we efficient in a way. So think about it this way, Prosper. If I want to send, you live in Zimbabwe or you live in anywhere in the world, right? If I want to do transaction with you, I want to anticipate with services or product with you, right? So I have to send a $1 million to you, right? So I have to wait for the bank, right, to open up, and then I have to wait till they do that 1 million transaction with the ID, with this and that, and then I will say, okay, it will take 5 days or 7 days past the moment I transfer the money to you, right? So what it means is, my process is delayed for 1 week, and if I'm paying you $1 million, means that I'm a high-end client. I'm gonna do the bigger things where I'm living, right, in Australia or America, where I'm living. So, but if you do it with the Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency, let's keep it with the Bitcoin, right? So what will happen is, if I send it to you, it takes 30 seconds to receive a $1 million, and the price is same. The charge is the same, whether you're sending in $10 or $20 or $30, or you're sending a $1 billion to $1 million, whatever it is, the transaction fees remains the same, right? And it goes on 30 seconds. Or these days might take 10 minutes, right? Because of the crowding, the number of transactions happening on the blockchain. So what I'm trying to say is, think about, in a way, why you teach digital marketing to the people, because you want people to have a profitable and efficient business, right? So that's where you got to start thinking in a Bitcoin in a way as well, that how can I do my business in an efficient manner, in the quickest way possible, right? So now another question people ask, I'm going to answer this one as well. Well, the dark web or the people who sell drugs, right? Think about when internet started. The people who using dealing with the drugs or crime, they were using the internet. So you know what, man? They are the technology pro. They use cutting edge technology to do their services before it comes to the common man or our normal people. So it's that, like, if you associate it with Bitcoin with the dark web, that's just the wrong way of looking at it. It's a cutting edge technology. That's why they're using it, to make the process efficient and faster to do the thing. We lied. We too lied. Like I'm just saying, 8 years lied. Right now, there's another cryptocurrency called Monero, which is totally, you cannot trace that. You cannot, now Bitcoin is out of that. You can use Monero to buy the drugs if you really want to do it, or you want to do the other stuff. What I'm saying is, it's always people need to understand why these criminals or thugs or whatever it is, they use these services. This is a cutting edge technology. You are marketer. I'm a marketer, right? So why we use Zoom? Why we use Facebook Live? Why we use Facebook groups? Why we use YouTube? Why we use LinkedIn? Why we use that? Why? We know that it's a cutting edge technology. It's a cutting edge tool. So that's what it is with the Bitcoin and another cryptocurrency. It's a matter of rewiring the brain and go with it, right? Asking the right question. The moment you start asking the right question, I always have in my brain, Prosper, that if there is 2 years before, I always condemn everything. Now that doesn't work, man. Like it's a facade. And I lost a lot of money back 2 years ago, right? A lot of money. That made me to think in my business. It made me to think how money works, what inflation, deflation, how the economic system works. And then I stumbled upon Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Then I understood the concept. For 25 days, I glued to the computer screen to understand what Bitcoin is, right? So when I was doing a master's in information system, I looked at the systems. We have a credit card. We had the PayPal, PayPass, these sort of things. They were talking about it back then in 2008 in master. But there was a term called e-wallet. And I thought to myself, mate, we used everything else. We never used e-wallet. And e-wallet is using with the cryptocurrency. This is it. And then I start researching full on to understand and grasp the concept. So what I'm trying to say is, before we put any question mark on any system, not just a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, we need to understand the fundamental. Once we clear the fundamentals, you can do whatever you want, right? It's just a phenomenal area you can dive in, and you'll be floating in for days and months and still be grasping the concept. Back to you, Mr. Prosper.
All right. Obviously, there is a lot that we can, get from you and learn. This is so much value. I can't thank you enough. Now, if you're watching this show up until now, thank you so much. I know there was a lot to take in. And if you haven't subscribed to the show, please subscribe. Because at the end of the day, it's value like this that you won't get anywhere else on the internet. Now, obviously, as Basha, would like to go on and keep letting us know, and even you might still be sitting on the fence right now. Bitcoin might sound like it's too far-fetched at first, but it's actually a real currency, and it's used to buy real things. And there's a variety of merchants that actually accept Bitcoin as payment for items. And even Basha has, invited me and said he will gladly accept Bitcoins from me as well. So both online and, physical stores. So at the end of the day, you do your homework, you do your research, find out what actually works for you. Everything is designed to help you or to actually enhance you to have a life that is of a happier existence. Now, Basha, if people really want to know more about this cryptocurrency and how it all works, how can people get a hold of you?
Okay, so before I answer that question, I want to make it clear. That's another point very quickly. I want to make it clear, Bitcoin is an open source. So what it means is anybody can go on and look at the codes. Anybody go and look at the transaction happening on the blockchain. It's open. That's the beautiful thing at it. If you are a developer, you can go and build application on top of the Bitcoin network. If you want to help somebody in Zimbabwe, you don't want to involve any third party into it. You don't want to have anybody to take the cut of that. Right, you can build an application on top of Bitcoin network, and you can have the people who want to donate money in Zimbabwe to help those kids or whatever it is, right? So they can directly pay through that application, no middleman, no third party. If you send $100, if you send $3,000 or $300,000 or $1 million, they get the same amount of money on the other end. Nobody can get the cut out of it, right? And if you think about it, PayPal, Visa, network, they were closed network. You gotta ask this question to yourself, like they won't ever let you in to their system. Why? They said it's a potential hack, so the people can hack into the PayPal or Mastercard. They can steal the money. Bitcoin been open for last 9 years. If you wanted to hack into the Bitcoin, you need $500 million for 10 minutes to try to hack into the Bitcoin system. So that's the point I want to make it clear. So in terms of if anybody wanted to hold up me, I'm friends with you on Facebook, which is Bursha Chahoda. So people can hold on me on Bursha Chahoda. And I'm a founder and owner of a Blockchain Business Hub. I got a page for that. And also I had a page for BISC2 channel, which is you can see on my Facebook channel. Same thing with my YouTube channel, BISC2 channel, which is a BISC space TU channel. So Bursha Inderjeet Singh Chahoda TU channel. So that's how I describe it. So Twitter, Bursha Chahoda. Same with the Instagram, Bursha Chahoda. So you can send me a personal message. We can get connected. So there's no drama. So I'm gonna say the last words. People need to understand the fundamentals, nothing else, the fundamentals. Once you have the clarity on the fundamentals, you understand the power of Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies and the blockchain, how it's transforming the society and how it's transforming the human's life and helping us to evolve to the next level.
Well, I can't thank you enough. You know, your passion really comes out and you really know your stuff. And if you've been watching this video, thank you so much. And obviously you do know that we're on a mission to create content for you that will help you, be profitable and so that you can enjoy the work that you're doing out there. And in the profit that you're going to be making, you are going to be looking for investment options. And the financial world can be a very confusing place, that is filled up with strange terms, unusual forms of currency, and endless trading options. So you want to really go in, while with all the information so that you're not losing money and you're actually happy doing what you're doing for those that you actually care about. Now, Bursha, thank you so much for your time today.
I really appreciate, man, to inviting me on your show. I'm very grateful, and to your viewers that I will say, understand the fundamentals. That's it. Forget about the trading. Forget about investing into it. Forget about everything else. Understand the fundamental, and that will take you to the next level.
Thank you,
Prosper. I'm really cool.
Thank you so much, Bursha.
Be all right.
All right. Cool. Wow, bro, you know your stuff. Whoa. I was just really enjoying listening, and I was like, wow, I wish I knew digital marketing like the way you know your stuff there. All right, so can you do me a favor?
You know your stuff, bro. You know your stuff, my man.
All right, so can you do me a favor?